Hey there, welcome back to Flat Tire Farm. Today, it's finally cool enough to put more plants in the ground and we're gonna plant potatoes. Potatoes is one of the crops that almost all Alaskans grow if they grow anything. Potatoes grow well here. They're a good cold weather climate. They grow in the short time frame of our growing season. So I'm gonna show you how we do that. We're just gonna grow two varieties of potatoes this year. This is an Alaskan variety. I don't have a specific species name for you. And that's because when we grow potatoes, you can see the mosquitoes are trying to eat me alive. When we grow potatoes each year, we often don't grow enough. And so we eat them all before they become seed potatoes. And so what I do is I'll go to the store and buy a bag that says Alaskan potatoes. If it says it's grown in Alaska, then I'm pretty sure it can grow here. And so this isn't like a Yukon Gold or anything like that. You can see it's just a white potato. So this year we're gonna grow those, and these are a red Norland, North Dakota certified seed potato. We have a really good friend, Mr. Jamie, and he is friends with Mr. Brian from John Miller Inc. Farms, and he sends us these potatoes. And you can see they're already sectioned. They have their little sprouts on them, and they look really ugly and black, right? And that's because potatoes, in order to take care of them the best for planting, they need to be cured a little bit. Some people will cut them in sections and let the edges dry, and some people will put them in ashes, and some people will just put them in dirt so that these open raw edges are protected. These ones look like they've been in ash, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know that Mr. Brian sends up these seed potatoes for us and Mr. Jamie, and they're all cured beautifully, and they are wonderful red potatoes, and they grow here well. So these ones are already prepared to be in the ground. And so let me show you what I do with these regular all white potatoes. Basically, you don't have to put a whole potato in one hole for it to be a plant. You just need to make sure that there's a couple little sprouts on there. This one has two. This one has a lot of little sprouts on it, little eyes on it, but I wouldn't cut it any smaller than this because this plant has to grow and feed off of this potato. Now, normally you'd cure this, and Mr. Reeve really likes to cure it because he's been farming his whole life. But I'm a rebel, as you all know. And usually you want to cure them so that they can get protected from potato diseases. However, this ground that we have just tilled up was the forest floor, and there were no farms here before. There were no crops. There were just moss and trees. And so I'm just going to chuck it in the ground, and it'll grow. I have faith in that. Okay, these red potatoes are already cut and cured, like I said. I'll get these all cut up, and we'll probably end up with over 200 potato plants in the end. One of the ways I get free seed potatoes is I just ask my friends that maybe don't have a garden, hey, do you have any old dead potatoes in your fridge that you want to get rid of or in your pantry? And usually the answer is yes. I think all the potatoes that we planted last year were from Mr. Jamie and Brian, and from one of my co-workers who had put a bunch of potatoes in her crawl space, and they had sprouted a whole bunch, and she didn't plan on planting them. She was just going to try to save them, but she had more than she could handle. So that's, I don't know, we still ended up with about 200 plants last year. So these potatoes, of course, we got these red ones from Mr. Jamie and Mr. Brian, and all of these Alaskan potatoes I didn't even have to buy this year because my Azure standard lady had a 50-pound bag of potatoes that she was just getting rid of because there was extra. And so here they are. I threw them in a box. I left the lid open, and I stuck them just on the floor where it was going to be warm and they would only get a little bit of light. I left the flaps up, but just left it open and didn't seal it, and that gave them enough light to start sprouting, like this little guy. Look, he's beautiful. Okay? And when I cut this, I'm gonna be careful not to cut any of his little sprouts. And I might get 3 potato plants out of this because he sprouted really nicely. Okay, time for garden gloves. These are my gloves of choice for gardening. These are Atlas gloves. Mr. Reeve usually uses them for contracting when he's doing carpenter work. But they're stretchy, they're like spandexy. I know that's not a real word, but just go with it. And then they have these rubber grippy hands. I like to feel what I'm doing, and this lets me feel it while I'm being able to keep my hands protected. And I can even beep boop on my phone and it'll work. I'll put a link in the description below. They're normally like $6 a pair if you buy them at the hardware store, but I found them big bunches on Amazon for less than half price. So for me, I buy them 48 at a time because I like to save money. So let me see. I'm not a digging kind of lady, so let me show you how I do it. I'm definitely using the shovel, but I'm not going to use the hard work end. I'm going to use the easy work end. And all I'm going to do is draw a line. Okay, the red potatoes are going to be much easier to do because they're already cured, they're ready to go. I just have to drop them in the hole. You want to put the potatoes sprout side up, so that's pretty easy. I'm going to put them, I don't know, 16 inches apart. I don't measure, I just do my best guess. Okay, and we're still working on getting our soil to be usable. So I'm going to put some perlite in here just to keep the soil from getting really hard packed, and some bone meal. Now this is organic bone meal that unfortunately I had to buy this year. I do have already cooked down, pressure cooked bones ready to make into bone meal, but not the time to do it. So maybe later this summer I'll get to that, but not just yet. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on each potato. Maybe a tablespoon or so. And I got my perlite. Now if you watched our other videos, you saw I got giant bags of this perlite, 4 cubic feet or 103 quarts. For $36 a bag on Amazon, or I can drive an hour to Walmart and spend $11 for 1 quart and then drive an hour all the way back. So just put a little handful on each one, and then I'm just going to kick the dirt over the hole. Call it good. Walk down the row, push in on either side, and didn't even have to use the business end of a shovel. Okay, I'll keep going on that, and I'll show you the white potatoes in a little bit. All right, there you go. 50-foot row of potatoes. I did it in less than 5 minutes. Way less than 5 minutes. I did find that after I dug the little trench with the shovel handle, if I just walked down the row and step on the potatoes, I pushed it down a lot further. Not let them go into the ground a little easier. Well, let me show you the white potatoes now. Okay, now planting these white potatoes won't be a huge amount of difference. I have to be a little bit more careful with them because remember, these potatoes were sitting in a box for, probably 2 months sprouting. So the little sprouts are longer, and so they're a little more fragile than those red potatoes that had just tiny little 1/8 and 1/4 inch sprouts on them. So I have to be a little bit more careful, take a little bit more time, but not too much time when I put them in the ground and when I put the dirt over top. So I'll show you that. I wonder if you can see this cloud of mosquitoes. Yeah, I'm definitely a blood donor to the mosquito community, I'll tell you that. Not by choice. Take that much longer. I don't know if you could see it in the time lapse, but I did have to stop and press the ones with the sprouts into the ground. And then when I walked back up the row, I stepped on all the potatoes except for the ones that had really big sprouts. So that was about 60 potatoes, I figure. We got a lot more to go. I think we might end up with like 250, 300 potato plants. We'll see. I better hurry up and get finished or the mosquitoes are gonna carry me away. Okay, we got 6 rows of potatoes in. We are literally getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. And so I think I probably have 2 more rows left. Not too shabby for an evening's work. Probably, I don't know, honey, what do you think? We've been planting potatoes for an hour?
Probably.
Yeah, about an hour. So, we'll see you on the next one.